The spaceship glided silently through the violet-hued nebula, its hull glinting under distant stars. Commander Elias Turner adjusted the controls with ease, though his mind was far from the usual calculations and diagnostics. The mission was routine, at least on paper. Escort a diplomatic envoy from the planet Lyria to the nearby trade station. But Elias could not shake the feeling that something extraordinary was waiting for him. The Lyrian delegation had been polite, almost eerily composed, and at the center of their group was the princess herself. Princess Alara had fiery orange skin that shimmered in the ambient light, and her eyes were a striking shade of amethyst, reflecting intelligence, curiosity, and something unspoken. She was an enigma, a being whose every gesture seemed deliberate, yet elusive. Elias had met many alien dignitaries in his career, but there was a presence about Alara that made him acutely aware of his own humanity. The shuttle landed at the trade station with a gentle hum, and the delegation disembarked. Elias followed behind, keeping a professional distance, though his eyes could not resist following the princess as she moved with graceful precision. The corridors of the station were busy with traders, mechanics, and travelers, but a subtle hush seemed to follow Alara, as if the air itself recognized her. Over the next few days, Elias found himself assigned to tasks that brought him into frequent contact with Alara: repairs on their transport vessel, negotiations over trade agreements, even shared meals in the station's dining hall, all situations that should have been routine, but every time his heart thumped a little faster, and his mind tangled in ways he did not fully understand. Alara, on her part, maintained a composed exterior. She spoke with a soft, melodic voice, asking questions, offering insights, and sometimes fleetingly, letting her gaze linger on Elias just a little longer than politeness dictated. There were moments, rare but powerful, when she smiled at something he said, and in those moments, Elias felt the universe shift. It was during one of these shared moments that the accident happened. They were in the cargo bay, overseeing the installation of new energy conduits for their ship. Sparks flew from a misaligned panel, and Elias quickly reached over to adjust the circuitry. Alara was beside him, observing the process with keen interest. "You humans are always so reckless," she said, a teasing lilt in her voice. Elias chuckled, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. "Maybe we just act fast. Calculated risk is part of the job." Her laughter was light, a sound that seemed almost impossible in the cold metallic environment of the cargo bay. Elias felt a surge of warmth, a thought forming in his mind before he could stop it. Without thinking, he said the words aloud. "I love you." The air froze. Elias felt the heat rise to his cheeks, realizing instantly that he had spoken words he had never intended to confess in such a sudden, reckless manner. He looked at Alara, expecting shock, outrage, or dismissal. Instead, her eyes softened, and she stepped closer. Her presence overwhelming yet comforting, she whispered, barely audible above the hum of the station systems. "At last?" Elias blinked, uncertain if he had heard correctly. "At last?" he echoed, his voice trembling with disbelief. Alara nodded, her fingers brushing lightly against the edge of the panel. "I have waited for you to say it, even when I did not know if you could. Even when I wondered if humans were capable of feeling such things with sincerity." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning, and Elias realized that the connection he had felt from the moment he first saw her was reciprocated. His heart pounded, not from fear this time, but from an overwhelming sense of rightness. In the days that followed, the dynamics between them changed subtly. There were no grand proclamations or formal ceremonies, just quiet moments shared in corners of the station, in the observation deck as they watched distant stars, and in the workshop as they tinkered with the ship together. Elias discovered that Alara had an insatiable curiosity. a mind that absorbed information like a sponge, yet a heart that could be tender, vulnerable, and profoundly loyal. Elias, in turn, showed her the human way of seeing the world, the value of improvisation, the warmth of simple gestures, the courage found in small acts of kindness. She watched him with fascination as he repaired delicate machinery, negotiated with stubborn traders, and even managed to diffuse a tense situation with a rival delegation, all with patience and insight. Their relationship was not without challenges. Differences in physiology, communication styles, and cultural expectations created moments of tension. Yet every obstacle only deepened their respect for each other. Alara taught Elias patience, teaching him to listen beyond words, to perceive emotions and intentions in ways he had never considered. Elias, in return, showed Alara that vulnerability was not weakness, and that trust could be built gradually, with consistency and care. One evening, they stood on the observation deck. The galaxy spread before them like a canvas of light. Alara leaned slightly against Elias, her head brushing his shoulder. The station was quiet, and the only sound was the soft hum of the engines. Do humans often speak so freely of their feelings? She asked, her voice a whisper carried on the artificial wind. Elias smiled, his hand finding hers. Not often, but when it matters, sometimes you just can't hold it back. She tilted her head, studying him with those penetrating eyes. And what did you feel when you spoke those words? He took a deep breath, feeling the weight and the joy of the moment. Fear mostly, and hope. Fear that you might not feel the same, hope that maybe. You did. Alara's smile was tender, filled with the quiet triumph of someone who had waited patiently for a truth she had long sensed. I did, she said softly. I have, from the first day I saw you. I did not know it then, not in the words humans use, but in the way you carried yourself, in the courage and compassion you show. You are remarkable, Elias, and I could not let another day pass without knowing you felt the same. The stars shimmered, reflecting in Alara's eyes, and Elias felt a surge of humanity he had never experienced before, a profound sense of connection, wonder, and belonging. For the first time in his life, he understood that humans could reach beyond their own limits, inspire trust, and form bonds that transcended species, culture, and expectation. Over the following weeks, their partnership became inseparable. In the council chambers, Elias witnessed Alara's diplomatic brilliance, her ability to bridge divides and negotiate solutions with precision and empathy. He marveled at the way she could see the nuances of interstellar politics while remaining grounded in her own principles. Alara, in turn, relied on Elias not only as a companion, but as a strategic mind, whose perspective often turned impossible challenges into solvable problems. One mission stood out in particular. A rogue asteroid field threatened a nearby colony, and neither Lyria nor the Human Trade Federation had the resources to prevent the disaster. Elias devised a plan that required precise calculations, daring maneuvers, and unyielding trust between him and Alara. Together, they piloted a convoy of rescue ships, navigating through the swirling debris. At every turn, Alara's intuition and Elias's quick thinking saved lives. When the last ship cleared the danger zone, the two of them floated in silence, surrounded by the wreckage and stars, their hands clasped tightly in that silence. Elias realized that his human traits, courage, improvisation, empathy, had made a tangible difference. He had not only survived, but had earned the trust and admiration of beings from another world. And more importantly, he had gained a bond that no cosmic distance could sever. It was not an easy journey. Prejudice and suspicion from both human and Lyrian factions occasionally tested their resolve. Some questioned the wisdom of allowing such a close relationship between a human and a royal figure. Yet Every challenge only strengthened the bond between Elias and Alara. They navigated the scrutiny with patience, honesty, and unwavering support for each other. Their partnership became a symbol of hope, demonstrating that cooperation between species could lead to remarkable achievements. Climax of their journey came when they were called upon to mediate a dispute over a newly discovered energy source that could revolutionize space travel. Tensions flared, threats were exchanged, and alliances wavered. Elias and Alara, working in perfect unison, presented a solution that balanced interests, shared knowledge, and ensured mutual benefit. The council chambers erupted in cautious approval, and for the first time, representatives from multiple star systems acknowledged that human ingenuity and Lyrian wisdom could achieve what seemed impossible. As they returned to the observation deck that evening, Elias glanced at Alara, her eyes reflecting the stars and the triumph of the day. He felt a profound sense of gratitude, not only for her, but for the unique humanity that had allowed him to rise to the occasion. "I cannot imagine this universe without you," he said quietly. Alara smiled, brushing her fingers against his cheek. "Nor I, Elias. You have reminded me that love, courage, and trust are not bound by worlds. You have shown me that humans are capable of greatness, far beyond what I imagined." They stood together, watching the cosmos stretch infinitely before them, their hearts bound by words spoken and whispered, by shared triumphs and quiet moments, by the extraordinary realization that across galaxies, two beings could find understanding, love, and respect in each other. In TH